What's up, YouTube? I'm Wafer, and thank you for tuning in to the I'll Just Ask Myself podcast. If you've subscribed to the channel, thank you. I truly appreciate you subscribing. If you left a comment, I really appreciate you leaving a comment, and I enjoy engaging with you guys. And also, could you please share the content? If you haven't subscribed to the channel, can you please subscribe to the I'll Just Ask Myself YouTube content page? Please share the content, and most importantly, please leave a comment. I really enjoy engaging with you guys. And also, leave me any ideas on content you'd like to see in the future, and I'll bring it to you guys. I truly appreciate you guys for tuning in. I'm Wafer, and this is the I'll Just Ask Myself podcast. Peace and love, baby. J.R. Smith went on JJ Reddick's podcast and had some pretty interesting claims about you and your gambling habits.
Right.
He alleges that you used to lose money you couldn't afford gambling with guys who had max contracts.
Right.
What happened during those high-stake gambling games in Denver?
We had to step in, if that makes sense, and just be like, hey, man, you're going to sit the next couple trips out.
Right.
You know what I mean? This is not good for you. Okay?
Especially
come back in a couple years
Right.
after you sign your deal. Like, I'm not sure you have this money to lose.
Yeah, I love Vaughn to death, but we had a kid in Denver named Vaughn Wafer. And when I tell you, he used to get cleaned up at the table. Cleaned up. And I'm sitting here like, you got Kmart right here, who just signed a $90-some million deal. Amelo's right here, max guy. AI's right here, been triple max. Like, you got Andre Miller here, like dudes who are realistically banking. And I wasn't even playing that much at the time. So I'm sitting here watching, and I'm looking like, bro, you just lost? He's like, yeah. I'm like, that was 20,000? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. And then I'll like take a nap or something and come back up, and he's still playing. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you got to know when to go.
Tommy, to your question about the anxiety of a
Shouts out to my man JR. You know, hopefully everything is going well in his post-basketball life and retirement. You know, I saw those comments and I was taken aback because they weren't accurate. You know, the first thing that I'll point out is he said Andre Miller was on the team. Andre Miller actually wasn't on the team when I was playing in Denver. So that was the first point in the story that wasn't valid. And the second point is that I was losing my money. No, I wasn't losing my money while I played in Denver when I was playing cards with those guys. I was actually winning. Shouts out to Stephen Hunter, who still owes me 50 grand. Steven, if you're watching this, I need that money, buddy. But playing the game of Boo-Ray, in which he's referring to, I had learned to master it. When I was a rookie with the Lakers, I learned how to play the game, and they took the majority of my money. I'm not gonna lie, because I didn't really understand the rules. And you know, it's a cutthroat business. No boys allowed, so they don't care that you don't know the rules. Guys are gonna try to take your money and then laugh at you. You know, even will go as far as to cheat you. I had to learn that the hard way. But once I learned how to play the game and mastered it, I became pretty unbeatable because I was playing from analytics, percentages, position, and I was just playing from like numbers in my head. That was my strategy. You know, a lot of guys just pick it up and they just play, but I was playing strategically and using the percentages and using positions and looking at all of that stuff. And when I was in Denver, I actually got so good at the game, you can ask him for yourself. Kenyon Martin didn't allow me to play anymore because I wasn't going to take any chances. If I was in a hand and I was playing, that meant I was going to either win or I was going to have a great chance of winning. So they didn't allow me to play at one point because I was winning every time. And I'm going to give you an interesting story about when I played in Denver. I was taking everybody's money. Stephen Hunter, like I mentioned, owed me 50 grand. Even Carmelo owed me 10 grand at one time, in which he tricked me out of because he got me to bet some money into a boxing match, and I didn't really understand anything about boxing. I was just so happy to be a part of the group and so starstruck. I was like, okay, let's make a let's bet it. But he knew a lot more about boxing, and as I've gotten older, you pretty much know who's going to win the boxing match before these matches happen. Sometimes these guys are fighting tune-up fights to get ready for a big fight. I didn't understand that, so he got his money back from that boxing match, but I was pretty much taking everybody's money. And I'm going to give you another interesting story. The one time that I stood up for myself in Denver, I got traded there for shortly after. I'll never forget it. We were on the plane playing Blu-ray, and I was up a couple grand, having a good night, feeling good about myself with my strategy intact, winning and like I always do. And it came to a very large size pot. And this is where they use politics against me, and this is where they use narratives to kind of flex their political power. Um, I was accused by one of the players on the team, who I won't mention, that I cheated. But I had no need to cheat, because when I stayed in the hand, I had a great chance of winning or a great chance of getting a book, and I wasn't going to lose. So we were playing, and this player on the team who had a lot of political power accused me of reneging. And that, in the game of Blu-ray, that's like cheating. It's like in spades, when when you're supposed to play a spade, you don't play a spade, you play off. So he accused me of reneging, and when you renege, you have to match the pot. And like I mentioned, it was a pretty large size pot, and I didn't understand what was happening. I didn't understand. He knew that if it was his word against mine, people were going to take his word, and even if he was lying, they were just going to give it to him on the strength of his political positioning on the team. So once he accused me of reneging, I got very upset, because it was a lot of money in the pot. And when I played the game, if I was in the hand, you were pretty much in trouble, because I had a basic strategy. My strategy, I wasn't going to lose. So he accused me of reneging, got very angry, I got upset, started getting very aggressive. As I mentioned in the video earlier before, when I played in Denver, I had to deal with a lot of a lot of teasing, a lot of disrespectful, a lot of disrespect. And this one time, I just stood up for myself, got aggressive, and I was just like, speaking my mind, and I got traded not too shortly after that. So I understand what JR is saying, but I have a different um, I have a different narration of that story. Now, gambling is something that I have had issues with, and that's being in the casino, playing blackjack. I've taken my share of losses with the game of blackjack, and I'm not going to be a hypocrite and sit here and act like, that I don't lose money gambling. But in this instance, he's speaking about, that was inaccurate. If you're going to tell the story, at least be honest about it. So, that's what happened with that situation. But shouts out to JR. I hope that everything is going well in his life. I hope he's finding peace. I hope he's doing well. Also, shout out to JJ Reddick. I see he's done a great thing with his podcast. He was one of my teammates also that I played with in Orlando, and he can also be a witness. I shut that game down in Orlando too, when I was playing with those guys, Chris Duhan, Jason Richardson, and I believe we had one other player, I can't remember, but those guys didn't want to play with me anymore because my strategy, I'm not going to lose. So, but shouts out to JR.